I have been eagerly awaiting Dune Part Two for a long time now. How long, you might ask? In the time since Dune Part 1 was released to theaters in October 2021, I managed to read Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House Dune. And I also became a brother-in-law again as my sister got married, and I became an uncle to a niece and nephew again. So, a lot has changed in my life, and I also, to boot, I graduated college. So with all that in mind, I am a very different person from when I first reviewed Dune Part 1 all those years ago in that very tiny college dorm. So does Dune Part 2 live up to the hype? Well, you're going to have to watch the rest of the video to find out. Hi, my name is Ryan Lane, and welcome to my review channel. So for today's movie, I will be reviewing Dune Part 2. Written and directed by Denis Villeneuve, and starring Timothee Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Dave Bautista, Christopher Walken, Léa Seydoux, and Javier Bardem. So, taking place pretty close to where the Part 1 left off. Paul Atreides, played by Timothee Chalamet, and his mother, Lady Jessica, played by Rebecca Ferguson, are now exiles living along the Fremen. Fremen, like Skarsgard, played by Javier Bardem, in a much beefier role compared to the first movie, believe Paul to be the Lisan al-Gaib, a messiah-like figure who will lead the Fremen to freedom from Harkonnen rule. Meanwhile, Fremen like Chani, played by Zendaya, see Paul for who he is, just a regular man who is aided by propaganda spread by the conniving Bene Gesserit order. Anyway, as Paul learns the ways of the Fremen and conspires to lead a rebellion against the Harkonnen Empire, various parties conspire to stamp out the remaining members of the Atreides bloodline. Such members include the Baron Harkonnen and his psychotic and yet honor-obsessed nephew, Feyd-Rautha, played by Stellan Skarsgard and Austin Butler, respectively. And there is also the Pasha Emperor himself and his daughter, Princess Irulan, played by Christopher Walken and Florence Pugh. So writing-wise, Part 2 is definitely a step up from Part 1. The action feels more evenly dispersed because in the first one, the film kind of blows its load, relatively early on with the fall of the Atreides empire, getting completely wrecked by the Harkonnens and the Sardaukar. But with this film, the action is much more evenly dispersed and the climax feels, a bit more climactic, at least on a visual level. Characters like Stilgar also receive much welcome additional screen time, and the film handled its cerebral themes very well. The film also does a good job of portraying Paul's transition from learning the ways of the Fremen to becoming essentially, the Fremen's equivalent of Jesus, essentially. And the film does a good job of visualizing the effects of the water of life, which is semi-ironically named as the water of life is actually poison and kills about 99.9% of people who drink it. But, I won't spoil too many details of it for the audiences. Hardcore fans of the novel may find certain excisement of certain plot points and details from the novel a tad annoying, but personally I think the film flows well otherwise. However, I will note I think the film could have maybe done a bit bit of a better job explaining why spice is just so gosh darn important, because if you're just watching the movie, the only implication you'll get is that spice is a really well valued commodity, which is true. It is. It does have a lot of valuable properties, but the book, I feel does a much better job of explaining just how gosh darn important spice is to the Empire. If you want to know just how important the spice is to the Empire, unfortunately, you're going to have to read the novel. But again, like I said, I feel like it's a bit of a nitpick on my part. Otherwise, the film does an amazing job of translating the trippy and cerebral visuals to the big screen. Each actor effortlessly inhabits their respective characters and brings welcome humor and pathos to their respective roles. Timothee Chalamet does a great job of conveying Paul's inner conflict between wanting to avenge his father and wanting to avoid a needlessly bloody holy war involving the deaths of many people across the galaxy. And Zendaya, she brings charm and grit to her role as Chani, Paul's love interest, and also essentially a second in command of Siege Tabir. Rebecca Ferguson is compelling as Lady Jessica as she goes on in the story to fan the fanatical flames of the Fremen against her son's wishes. And Javier Bardem, in what is probably the film's funniest performance, he is amazing as the stern yet fanatical Stilgar. And like, seriously, there's one moment in particular that is my favorite moment that had the audience howling in laughter. Like, that was kind of evocative of that one scene from Life of Brian where Brian tries to say he's not the Messiah. Anyone who's seen that movie will know that reference. And if you don't get that reference, watch Life of Brian. It's a good movie. But I digress. Anyway, also Austin Butler really disappearing into his role and finally dropping that Elvis accent. He is amazing as the psychotically murderous yet honor-obsessed Fade Rautha. And Christopher Walken, he brings a lot of charisma and gravitas to his role as the Pasha Emperor, and what is a pretty limited yet effective role. The only actor who feels kind of shortchanged in terms of material and screen time is Dave Bautista, as it feels like he's kind of a bit of a glorified man-child just running around, killing people or watching people get killed. Again, it's not terrible. It doesn't weigh the movie down, but, he's easily the most noticeably shortchanged in terms of material. So Part 2 takes the visual style of Part 1 and it kicks it up a few notches. Viewers will be treated to the spectacle of not one, but several space worms, or Shai Haluds, as the film calls them, in the Dune seascape. And the black and white vistas of Giedi Prime are amazing. Seeing fireworks in black and white, on paper, that doesn't sound very visually compelling, but in the movie, it looks amazing. The digital VFX, they blend well with the practical sets and costumes, and the score helps convey the triumphant and trippy elements of the story, and the score is well varied for each location and character. So thanks to having a less exposition-burdened screenplay, Dune Part 2 gets to expand the characters and the lore of Dune without sacrificing the source material's rich themes. So with all that in mind, I will be giving Dune Part 2 4.5 out of 5 stars. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. If you liked this review and would like to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And for today's comment section prompt of the day, what is your favorite Dune novel and why?